Hey, freelancer, welcome back to the Guidebook Podcast. This week on the show, I'm actually sharing kind of an older interview. This interview happened, I don't know, a few months ago. But my sister's coming on the show. I'm really excited to talk to her because we kind of only became friends recently in the past couple of years. We spent our entire childhoods just being like really competitive and fighting with each other. And we both had PMDD and neither of us learned how to control it until now in our 30s. So I am just like so happy to be able to be friends with my sister and to be able to share this interview with you guys. Erin has been freelancing even longer than I have, but actually in a completely different industry. So I'm excited to see how her freelance experience is sort of transferable to mine and compare and contrast the two. So also, she's in a complete career change right now into an entirely different industry again. And she just started a newsletter with my help. I'm so proud of her for doing so much work on this newsletter. She is helping a pilot school get the word out and inspire the next generation of commercial pilots. So if you're interested in aviation at all, go subscribe to her newsletter. If you know someone, share it with them. It's patcharrow.substack.com, and I'll put the link in the description of this episode. Of course, this is the Guidebook. We're sharing tips for freelancers, raw conversations with risk takers, and the emotions behind it all. I'm your host, Rachel Meltzer. It rhymes with seltzer, and you're in the right place if you want to be a fly on the wall of conversations with brave, experienced freelancers, recaps of new freelancers' first years of business, and walk and talks where I share everything I've learned in the past 6 years of freelancing. I'm here to ungatekeep freelancing so you can unlock your bravest self. I hope this show inspires you to go out and take the risk. Okay. I'd love to start by talking about how you got into freelancing, I guess, because your freelance journey looks a lot different than mine. And you're like, I didn't even realize that what you do is freelancing until you like told me that and that you worked with an agency and all of these things. But that looks very different in the marketing world than it does in your world. So tell me more about, how freelancing works for you and what you do.
So I guess the freelancing that I'm in right now is the yachting industry. And I'm trying to make this short and sweet. So I started yachting right after college, but I was taking full-time jobs to gain experience and network, and a lot of networking because, like most places, yachting and freelancing is all about who you know. So I did I don't know, probably 6 years of full-time jobs, which also in yachting, like 1 year, that's longevity. If you stayed on a boat for 1 year, that's a long time. So, kind of like in there somewhere, I thought I was feeling burnt out. So I took a break and I became a flight attendant. Bad idea. And the money is really bad as a flight attendant. So to try to kind of supplement what I was making, I reached out to a bunch of people that I knew in yachting saying like, hey, if you need a stewardess for a short period of time, I'm available. So yachts will call in a freelance stewardess when either they don't have a full-time stewardess and they have their guests on board and like they're doing a trip, which could be like, I don't know, a weekend, a week, 2 weeks, a month. Or like one of their stewardesses is going on vacation, they need somebody to fill in, which I did that. Or they're like taking some guests out for the evening and doing like a sunset beverage cruise. So those are kind of like the times when I would freelance as well. And then what's the question?
Well, so who owns the yachts that you're working on? I mean, some of them were privately owned by just like wealthy families, but others of them were like charter yachts too. So you're sort of working for both. I would say the charter yachts are like what freelance writers would consider like an agency. Like a company owns it, they deal with the clients, like getting the clients on board and signing the contracts and all of that, and you're just providing the service. Whereas like when you work for a family who owns a yacht, you created the systems, you interfaced with that client, you got hired by them, you signed the contract with them. So it's sort of, for perspective, that's kind of like the two options you had with yachting, right?
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, like you said, the two options are private and charter. So private yacht is owned by a wealthy family. And generally, I guess, kind of managed by that family or like somebody in the family. Whereas a charter yacht is owned by a private family, but they hire a management company to run it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you said.
So the management company is like an agency, and then the family is like the client, essentially.
Yeah, so there's a couple different kind of agencies, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And like the bigger agencies do both, where they'll manage a yacht program, or they will find crew, or they'll do both. So part of my networking was meeting with these agencies, because when the boats that they manage come to them and say, hey, we need a girl, then they can be like, oh my gosh, we know the girl. So
how did you network? Did you just like go in person and give out business cards? Were you doing like internet networking? How did that look?
Well, kind of. I printed up my resume, and I did probably what just felt so
demoralizing.
I guess that's the word. But like, you walk down the dock, and to anybody who is on a yacht working, you go up to the boat. You don't go on the boat. You go up to the boat, and you're like, hey! And they're like, oh God, not another one. It's called dock walking. So you say, hey, like, my name is Erin. I'm green to the industry. Just looking for a job.
So this is like,
or a day work.
This is like what internet freelancers call cold pitching. Except you actually have to do it in person, which I think that is way more uncomfortable than sending someone an email and being like, hey, I offer this service, or like connecting with them on LinkedIn. It's the worst,
because then they can look at you and be like, we're good. Or they'll be like, I'll pass it on.
A lot of it is looks too. Like, people are judgmental of how you look in that industry.
Oh yeah, very much so.
That sucks.
Like, your picture has to be on your resume, which, whatever. I don't put my size. I know some girls do.
That's crazy.
Some boats, like if they have a white interior, they'll hire only blonde stewardesses. So like when your hair sheds, the blonde hair doesn't show up.
What?
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's crazy. It's such a different industry.
Yeah, I know. Because now I'm putting together a resume for my next job. And like, you don't put your picture, you don't make it fancy. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So
that's so different. Weird. Yeah. What was your motivation behind, like, let's go back a little bit further. You went to Johnson & Wales for hospitality for college.
Hospitality, not cooking.
Johnson & Wales is like
the biggest hospitality school in the world. But their culinary program is rated above the Culinary Institute of America. And don't let anybody from the CIA tell you otherwise, because they suck.
It's true. In 8th grade, I desperately thought that I wanted to become a famous Michelin star chef. And I also applied to Johnson & Wales for cooking school. And then Erin got accepted before I decided whether or not I was going to go. And then I decided I'm not going down that path anymore.
I feel like you should have, because you make really good food.
But then we would have been in the same school again. Me and Erin have been in the same, we were in the same high school. We would have been in the same college. We used to be so mean to each other in high school.
Yeah. We weren't really
Unless
friends.
someone was bullying one of us, so we'd stick up for each other, but we weren't like friends in school, but we went to the same school. But we never got mistaken for each other because we don't really look alike, and I had a very different school demeanor than you did.
Yeah.
How did you feel about college and like taking classes and what you were actually going to school for? Like, how did you decide that this was going to be your career, and how did you feel about it?
Well, I didn't know that I was gonna yacht, I guess.
Yeah.
I went to school for that's a girl. That's a girl from Seven Heaven on TV. It's like a different show. Okay, anyway.
Nice. Nice.
Sorry. What was the question? Oh, I went to Johnson and Wales for hospitality. But my minor was cruise line management, so I thought I wanted to be a cruise director. And I don't know if like I feel like like I've always worked for smaller companies or smaller businesses like throughout high school and college. So like being on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean with like 5,000 people was a lot.
Well,
And
you did a semester at Johnson & Wales in Miami, right? And
yeah.
didn't you work on cruise ships during that semester?
No, we just like saw every part of the operation.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that's kind of when I was like, I like it, but not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but like everybody, when you graduate college, you're like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So I kind of like took a break that summer and sailed in Newport, Rhode Island.
Erin was
I-
on the competitive sailing team at Johnson & Wales, so she had sailing skills that she then went and
oh yeah.
she did charter what were they, tall ships in
No, the 12 meters.
12-meter ships. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Newport, and you did like sunset sails and things like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like races and stuff like that. So yeah, I already knew how to sail. I had already been sailing for 4 years when I took this job sailing for the summer. And it was kind of like the summer to not really care much because student loans were kicking in the fall. But I met a couple people at a bar, and this one girl, she was like, do you want to make some extra cash tomorrow? Like, duh, who doesn't? And she's like, cool. Meet me at the shipyard tomorrow at 8 a.m. I was like, great. I don't know what I'm doing, but cool. So I go to the shipyard, which by the way is the best breakfast sandwich I've ever had. And I did not fully hear the name of the boat that I was meeting her on, so I walked onto the wrong boat. Yeah.
Great
And
start. Classic Erin. Always, we just spent the last 20 minutes just setting up her microphone and getting ready to do this podcast. This is like classic Erin walking into the wrong room to start the day.
yeah. I was like, hey, I'm here for day work. And they were like,
I don't
probably
think
not
so.
with us. So turned around and found the girl I was looking for, Lisa. And I day worked on their boat, which means like you just do tasks that nobody wants to do. So like for those 2 weeks, I helped on the outside, hand waxing the boat. I think it was like 140-foot yacht.
Ooh.
Yep, not my favorite. I don't even like to wash my car, so this task was very tasky.
Yeah,
I guess.
tedious.
Yeah, that's the word.
Oh.
They also had me paint the bilges, so that's the space between the floor and the hull. So I'm under the floor in the hull, painting it white. Also not fun. And but you're getting paid a day rate. So like
You get
back
paid a
then,
flat rate for the whole day.
yeah, I was brand new. Like had no idea what I was doing. Obviously, this is my first experience with yachting, and I was getting I think 150 a day.
Ooh.
So
What does that
is
work
that
out
not a
to per
lot?
hour?
Oh, I
Was
don't
that
know. I didn't do the
it's like
math.
$15 an hour?
Maybe, but, like, it's cash
Yeah.
and you uh,
Probably
not that I
should
wanna
account for it on
say,
your
like, you're
taxes so you don't need to. Sorry, go ahead.
not that I wanna say, like, "Oh, you should work for little money," but, like, I was gaining experience and I didn't know what I was doing, but throughout those 2 weeks, I found out, like, the benefits of yachting, the cool things, the nitty-gritty, like, what it is like to, like, it's a lifestyle also. It's
Mhm.
not like a job, like, you live on the boat, you work with your crew, you live with your crew, you hang out with your crew. So, I thought it sounded pretty cool,
Mhm.
and so when the summer ended, I packed 1 bag. Wait, let me rewind. Before that summer ended, I had to take a safety course, the STCW.
Mhm.
So, it's like a 5-day course, and you go over, like, seamanship, emergencies at sea, firefighting at sea.
Like,
Um,
all the people who work on yachts have to take this course.
Everybody has to do it. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Uh,
also, like, to be fair with your day rate as well, like, I think if you're getting into freelancing and you have no experience, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, I had no experience in digital marketing, and when I first started, I was charging like $99 a blog, and I thought that was amazing. And I was just excited someone hired me and that I could learn how to do this and get paid to learn how to do this. And I was still learning about, like you said, the benefits of freelancing and what it actually looked like and what digital marketing actually looked like, just like you're learning these skills on like how to work on a yacht. And I think a lot of people jump into it and they want to make like, you know, there's the people who are willing to learn and excited just to get a gig and get paid whatever they can get paid. And then there's the people who are like, I got to make all this money. And
yeah.
you kind of need both, but the benefit of starting low and really learning is like you made so many connections that summer and you learned a ton. And
Yeah.
then you were able to build on that step by step every year. Like you worked your way through the ranks to become a head stewardess over time. And you have to have
Chief
those
stew.
experiences. Chief stew, sorry.
Yeah. Um, so
You
yeah,
wouldn't have
so
gotten there without that, right?
right. So at the end of that summer, though, I packed a bag, and Rachel and I road tripped to Florida, dropped her off in Orlando so she could fly home. And then I went down to Fort Lauderdale, stayed with a girl I met in college for a couple weeks. And then I got my first job by dock walking. So all of those handing out resumes, walking down the dock, and getting denied left and right is actually how I got my first job.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a full-time job. The pay was very low. I think I stayed on that boat for like 4 months before taking another one, which ended up being a nightmare. So I was only on it for 3 days, and then I came back, joined another boat for 6 months. Maybe it was like 4 months, and then the point is I moved on a lot. But
Yeah.
by moving on to the different boats, there are different sizes, different kinds of programs, different destinations. So like I gained all of that experience. And then I think it was like 5 years into yachting, I was able to pay off all my student loans, which was $72,000 worth of debt.
That's crazy.
Um,
Would you
and
say, as far as like, we talk about money mindset a lot on this podcast, and like for paying off your debt and at the speed at which you did, like I'm still paying off my debt and I'm 6 years into freelancing. Would you say that was because dad was helping you stay disciplined and like teaching you what it really meant and you had that like structural support, or were you like really gung-ho to pay off your student loans and you were like, I'm going to sacrifice anything to do it, you know?
well, I wanted to pay them off for sure. But
Mhm.
what they don't teach you in school is that there's interest,
Mhm.
or like how a student loan or a loan in general works.
Yeah, yeah.
So thankfully we had mom and dad to kind of explain that to us. And then, yeah, it was,
To be clear, mom and dad never explained any of that to me. I don't know why they taught you so much about money and I learned nothing from them.
I don't know. I asked a lot of questions though, because I was working so hard for my money that like, and now it's all gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think also you were making a lot less than me from the jump. Like my first job out of college was already making more than what you were making from your first job.
Yeah, my first was $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And then yeah, mom would do our taxes and she'd be like, "You got this much back, so you should probably put that to your student loans." I'm like, "Oh, I hate when you're right." And then like birthday money,
Mm-hmm.
what else went, like everything. And
It's,
then
I think
mom and dad would
also,
be like, "You should double down on what you're paying," because I wasn't like on a yacht, you don't pay to live. Like you don't have rent, you don't pay for
yeah.
food. So like, what am I going to spend it on?
Yeah.
Might as well
You
just pay them
also
off.
listen to mom and dad. Mom would be like, you should put this return on your student loans. And I'd be like, fuck that. But I did not do that. No.
It's like a secret bonus of money that you get to put onto something.
It's a secret bonus of money that I get to pay my rent with. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I get to go on backpacking trip with. Goodbye. I was not as responsible with money as you were.
Yeah. It was hard. It still is hard. So my point is though, like I didn't pay that off with freelancing. Freelancing didn't come around for me until further into yachting because I didn't have that experience that's desirable to other boats.
Would you say freelancing is only possible after you have that full-time experience?
Yes, I would never hire a girl brand new as a freelance stew. So there's a difference between a freelance stew and a day worker, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, like a day worker is a girl who's, or a stew who's new to the industry, like trying to gain experience, like somebody that you can kind of show how things work and like the best way to do things. And a freelance stew would be somebody who I could trust to replace me if I go on vacation or something like that.
It's crazy to me that families, first of all, have enough money to have a yacht and then also have enough money to have full-time staff living on the yacht and paying them. Like you got paid like benefits like a normal employee, right? Like you were a full-time employee.
Oh, yeah, but also no. Like, yes, I was a full-time employee, but I didn't find out until the other day that when you work for a real company that like Casey works for Spirit, right?
Yeah.
He has insurance through
legally work. In the United States, you're supposed to be
This
provided.
Is not my point.
Okay. Yeah.
My point is, I didn't know that while you're offered insurance, it's not free. Like you have to pay for that because in yachting, everything was covered. So like, I got a kidney stone once a while ago.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah.
Went to the ER, thought I was dying, and I didn't pay a penny for that. Like at all.
That's how your insurance was that good?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like that's the standard in yachting.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Well, that's how I thought. Like,
yeah. No, most employees in the US have PPOs. So you have to pay into a deductible and you have really high like coinsurance and you have to pay a premium every month. And then once you hit your deductible, you get coverage. That's like the majority of US employees have that kind of insurance.
Yeah, I found that out working at Cranmore. I went to the dermatologist for a spot on my leg.
Regrets.
And then I had a $158 bill for the nurse to tell me it's not cancer.
Yeah. I paid $300 to find out I didn't have strep one time.
So
it's
not
crazy.
Super thrilled about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how like yachting has a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
You miss a lot, like you're away from home a lot, of course, but if you're trying to pay off your student loans, that's the way to go.
For sure. Why did you decide to keep going with yachting and like actually choose that lifestyle? And I mean, you did it for a long time.
I know. I think I'm going into my 10th year.
Yeah.
What is this, 2024? Yeah.
Even on your breaks, you were working on Like, you worked on that estate in Maine. That's basically yachting on land. Like, you're still living at the estate. You're not going home that often. Like,
Yeah, so here's the thing. I like being really, really, really good at something.
yeah.
And like, I am really good at yachting. I'm really good at running a boat. I'm really good with the clients, the owners, their kids. Like, I'm freaking good at it. And like all the tiny details from like a label on a turn down water to a little Sweet Dreams note card when you turn down their bed, and then like in breakfast in the morning, the little flower on the side of the plate, or making sure the coffee is exactly right on a nice napkin that has to do with the theme of the day,
Mm-hmm.
to putting together itineraries for where we're going, what they should be doing, and making reservations, and then making sure they know how they're getting there. Like, I'm good at it, and I like being good at something. So, um the hard part about yachting is nobody tells you what to do after. So like when I thought I was done yachting, which was 2020, I had a mental breakdown that I didn't know what I was going to do
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to be home. And then one of the crew agents that I've been working with mentioned this estate in Maine. So it's a very large estate in Maine, obviously. Wow. But yeah, essentially it's the same thing, but on land. But it was a lot bigger and there were a lot more people. But it also entailed the same types of things that I've done. So I know that I was going to be good at it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I took that job.
Yeah, you enjoy it. You enjoy being
Yeah.
good at it and doing all those tiny details. It's like,
Plus, like with yachting and the estate, like you could put together some like theme party, or I don't know, or like something could happen.
yeah.
And then like you just magically pull something out of your bag of stewy tricks and like just totally make their day, and they'd be like, how did this happen? It's the magic of yachting. Like, some people are like, every time I go to the bathroom, the toilet paper is folded like a sailboat. How did this happen?
Yeah, yeah. And it just makes...
It's because every time somebody goes to the bathroom, I rush in right behind them, wipe the sink down, wipe the hair off the floor, and fold the toilet paper. Like, that's what you do. That's the tiny details that like
people care about.
People don't know that they need.
Yeah.
/ want.
Yeah. You also are like a master deep cleaner. Like, I've never seen some of the things that you've told me that you clean. I've started cleaning and I'm like, wow, I would never do this, but I'm glad I did.
It's a curse because since Casey and I have had the house to ourselves, like when the other people were here, he and I like purposely didn't clean anything because we're not wasting our time cleaning stuff that nobody else is going to keep clean.
Yeah.
So now I'm detailing our house, and oh god,
it's a classic roommate situation. You don't want to clean up after your roommates. Yeah. It's so hard. We should have gotten our house cleaned before we moved in, but our landlords did not clean it. And now I'm just like constantly cleaning stuff that I'm like, it's never ending and it's never going to go away. And it's an old house, but you can't win them all.
Yeah. So yachting is super duper detailed, so it has become a curse.
Dougie.
Hello, buddy. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Tesla.
Tesla.
Tesla's bigger than I thought.
I don't know if she's bigger, but she's fluffy. We haven't gotten her a haircut in a while.
Oh. Luna's kind of hiding. I'll show you when she wakes up. She's so cute. Okay, so what else was I gonna ask you? Oh, you have thought about or sort of dabbled in starting your own business. You were gonna start an events business at one point. I know you don't really want to talk about it, but I think it's important to talk about failures and experiments because we all have them.
I don't even know if it was a failure because I didn't get it off the ground at all.
Why did you decide not to pursue it? Like you thought about it, you talked about it, you looked into it. Why did you decide not to go after it?
So I like it was going to be an event planning company because I
good at the details.
love a theme party.
Yeah.
Like, everybody should be having theme parties.
Yeah.
Who more perfect to plan it than me?
Right.
But then I found out like all the business side of it. I had to go into it, contracts, like taking care of the money stuff, and like you have to spend a lot of money before you make money, and like I just didn't want to deal with that stuff. I just wanted to plan the party. If I had like a partner who was like, "Oh, I love running a business,"
Mm-hmm.
and you plan the party, then it would probably be something now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. That's not my thing.
Talk to me in 10 years, okay?
So
For certain.
I like with yachting, I could do that and not have to worry about anything. And the things that I needed to buy for those parties, I'm putting it on somebody else's credit card. So
Yeah.
same for the estate. But yeah. And then like no.
It's not
And then
fun.
not only that, like having to market myself, and it's just, well, it's a cool idea, and like, maybe one day I'll go back to planning parties. I don't want to run a business.
Yeah. Being a solopreneur is hard. It's a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm like my marketing team. I am an accountant. I am doing the contracts. I'm getting the clients. So I'm managing the money. It's a lot. And it can be, I like running a business, but it is not for everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so as a freelancer on yachts, you're just like signing the contract they send your way. You're not making your own contract.
Honestly, I'm not even signing a contract.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do set my own rate. So now I won't accept anything less than $300 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the experience that I do have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I'm a stewardess, but you can also depend on me on deck with calling distances when we're docking, so the captain knows how far they can move
Mm-hmm.
and what lines go on first, and the safety aspect of everything. Not that I advertise this, but I can put together some pretty good appetizers if need be.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. So
you can go above and beyond.
Yeah, my rate has definitely gone up for sure. What was the question?
I was just asking if you set your own rates.
I got distracted by something outside.
I think I guess the interesting part for me is like,
yes, I set my own rates. I don't sign a contract. But I also am super picky about who I work with now.
Yeah.
Because
you can be.
I've worked with some really bad crew. So there's like 3 captains that I'll work with. Bethany, my best friend, favorite captain Dave, and then my friend Hunter also. Or if it comes from, there's a few people in the industry who like I get along with and like, and if they're like, hey, like I know this boat that needs a stew, I like definitely consider it. But
what's been the most surprising part of being a stewardess that you've had to, like, challenges you've had to manage, whether that's like your emotions or your mindset or like a physical thing that you have to do?
All the above. Mentally, like with freelance, it's great because you're like, okay, in 2 weeks, like I'll be done. I can go home. As a full-time crew member, you'll be like, okay, like we can get through this charter. It's been a busy season, but we can get through it. It's exhausting, like very sleep depriving. So one of my boats, like I was up at 6 a.m. and I didn't go to bed till 11 p.m. every day for 5 weeks. So that's a lot. And then the different personalities on board, like I'm pretty bubbly and outgoing, but it's also really easy to annoy me. Especially like now with knowing how everything works, I have to remind myself that not everybody knows how everything works all the time.
Yeah.
That's a challenge. Personalities, especially chefs, like relax. Your ego's not that big and your food's not that good sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like you have a lot of your job is working with other people, and a lot of my job is not that. Like I actually get lonely at work a lot.
Yeah. And like you can't escape these people because
Yeah.
like you're on a boat
You
and
live
you
with
all live
them.
together, and then you share like a room that has 2 bunk beds that's smaller than a twin. The other thing that's hard is I love gossip. I just
Yeah.
freaking love gossip.
I
Like, I don't
know.
spread it, but I love listening to it.
Same.
Like, I'll spread it to like Casey or Bethany, but I bask in everybody's gossip that they share with me. I've always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
But on a boat, like everything has ears. So
Yeah.
like you have to be really careful about what you say and who you say it in front of. And even if you think you're alone in a room, you might not be, because
Yeah.
like somebody could be listening in, or like one girl was sitting and her walkie-talkie was pushed up against the wall, so the button was pushed in. So like just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And you also have to be careful of like whose gossip you listen to, because then they can be like, well, I told Erin, you know? That's so hard. That's so hard.
also, people that you think are on your team might not be on your team.
Yeah.
And that screwed me over at the estate.
Yeah. You had a
While
lot
some
of
people will be like, you did wrong. Maybe so, but I did wrong trusting people.
it's the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Mm.
So we always talk about adventure on here. Normally we talk about adventure at the beginning, but we really just like dove into the career conversation. What do you do for adventure? What are you doing right now? I already know, obviously, because I talk to you every week, but like for our listeners, what are you working on right now? What are you excited about?
I am working on a career switch. This
Again,
will be number 4, I think.
I want to point out, wait, how
Or
old are
5.
you?
32.
Why do I have to ask you? I don't even know why I just asked
32.
that. I know how old you I always get confused if you're 32 or 33. I can't believe I'm turning 30 in January, dude.
I know. Are we having a party?
Everybody keeps asking me that, and I was like, I don't even know, because last year I had like the best ski trip for my birthday. I don't know. Anyways,
That's right.
real tangent here, but um, I just want to point out how normal it is that at 32 you're changing careers for the 4th time. Like mom and dad did the same thing. They had like 5 careers by the time they were 32. I've had multiple careers and I'm almost 30. I have a lot of listeners who are a little bit older than me, like in their 40s or 50s, who are switching to freelance writing or freelance digital marketing, who are like just scared that they're too old for this or that they're really struggling with it. And every time someone's talking about how squiggly their career path is or how they're changing their careers again, and I'm just like, guys, it's normal. Let's just normalize changing careers, okay? Let's be happy in life. Let's enjoy
It's
it.
totally normal. And not only that, but I have a mental breakdown probably every 2 years when I decide to change, because I don't know what I want to do next, because I feel like I'm only good at one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your career change? What are you doing?
I have 2 ratings left to finish before I become a commercial seaplane pilot. So that is what I'm working on. I'm working on my commercial rating right now. Which hopefully I'll be taking my check ride in the next 2 weeks.
Woo!
Before we go up to Maine for the international seaplane fly-in, because then we're doing our seaplane ratings. And then I'll be applying to my new dream job, which is flying Cessna caravans on floats to the Bahamas.
Hell yeah. What made you want to get into being a commercial pilot?
Remember that time I became a flight attendant?
Remember that?
We had a delay one day and I was just getting screamed at, and like I made friends with the pilots who are obviously behind a door and they don't have to deal with the passengers, and I was like, I'm just as smart, if not smarter, than these guys behind the door, so I should be on that side. And that's when I started my ground school for private, which is a whole adventure in itself. We don't have enough time to talk about it. But I just did it for fun. And it wasn't until January when Casey and I were having a conversation about like the possibilities for me, because I don't want to fly for the airlines.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people think that aviation, that's the only job that there is, but there's a lot more. So when he mentioned that I could fly seaplanes, I was like, well, that might be up my alley.
It'd be cool. Ay,
So I thought
palaga
about
the
it
ocean.
for a little bit, and then I quit my job, moved down here to Florida, took the plane with me, and I did my instrument rating down here, which was so hard and so stressful and so not fun, but necessary. Um, so now I'm working on commercial, which is just a bunch of requirements, which I've already gotten done. And excuse me, a bunch of different maneuvers. And then
How long have you been pursuing your commercial pilot's license? Well, you've been pursuing your pilot's license for a few years, right?
yeah, private. I started private in 2020.
Yeah. And
And
also for
then
the listener, our dad is a private pilot, and he's had, at first he had a share in a plane, so he owned a plane with 4 other people, and then he got his own plane recently, a few years
which
ago.
I took.
And then Erin commandeered the plane. Well,
I'm
Dad,
captain now.
Dad willingly is allowing Erin to use it to get her license, which is really helpful.
Yeah.
Makes it a little more cost effective.
A lot easier too, because we have a couple of friends that are volunteering their time to teach me. Casey's volunteering his time to teach me.
Casey is Erin's boyfriend, who is also a pilot.
Yeah.
And also a flight an instructor for pilots.
Yeah.
I think it's also
he's an examiner.
Right, an examiner, right. But he can't do your exam, right? Does he do your exam?
He could. He's not going to, but he could.
Oh, okay. No conflict of interest.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask, really. Like, if he were to do it...
I mean, legally he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally.
Okay, cool. That's what I was asking.
Oh. Like, if you were to do my exam, I think I would go, like, sleep at Bethany's house and then meet at the airport in the morning and treat it like it's somebody else doing the exam. That way, I still feel like I put in the work and I was responsible.
Yeah, you need a little separation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's helpful to clarify too. People are always like, oh my God, your dad's a pilot and he owns a plane. Like, our parents are not, they choose what they invest in, and they're not, we did not grow up rich or anything like that. I think it's just such a common misconception. But then once you like get into the aviation community, there's like all these levels of like how people are able to pursue such an expensive hobby or career.
A lot of people don't talk about the money part of it. So, like, there's a woman who wrote a book, and that's one of Dad's comments is, where did she come up with the money? So, for my money portion of this adventure, I'm freelancing on boats.
Yeah.
To pay for it, because that's part of what's helping me. But then Casey's also supporting me and us and my living expenses right now because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And then Mom and Dad are there for support.
I think it's so important to talk about these things because, like, people want to change their careers, but you cannot expect to do it all on your... You can't expect to do anything in life all on your own, really. I mean, most things, you'll at least need emotional support from another person. And I think that's something that we don't really talk about a lot.
Yeah.
It helps.
I have a lot of emotional support. Poor Casey deals with my crying a lot.
Erin's a crier. Erin loves to cry.
I don't love to. It just happens.
You love to cry.
No, I don't.
You gotta let it
this
out.
adventure, I've had a lot of people helping me, like the like our friends that are volunteering their time. Like, that would never happen. Like, I would never work on a yacht for free. So these people volunteering their time to instruct me I'm super thankful for that. And then, yeah, Casey supporting us. That's huge. Like, because if not, it would take longer than it is taking now. I would have to be working a lot more to be able to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
How do you manage your emotions through all of
I
this?
don't.
You don't have any mindset tools. You don't manage your
No, like
emotions
I
at
am
all.
terrible. Mm-mm. No, instrument was the absolute worst. Like, if Casey were to break up with me, it would have been through that rating for sure. Um, Part of it, I guess, is sometimes I have to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough.
Yeah.
That's helpful for me. Um, at the moment, I am tired of not having a job and not being able to support myself. So I have to constantly remind myself that this is a transition phase and it's supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love learning, I'm
You like being the best at things
over
too.
not being good at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get so frustrated when you're not good at things.
I just want to be the best. And like I put in so much work and I'm still not the best.
Yeah, you're not even close.
Wow, thanks.
What? You're just started. You're new. You're still like getting your ratings. Even after that, you're still going to learn things. That's just how it works.
I know. Yeah, I know. So I'm not very good at handling my emotions. I try to hold in the crying, but when I do that, I cry harder.
I don't think it's worthwhile to hold in crying. I have learned that if I feel like I need to just fucking let it out, man. It's not helpful to hold it in.
Yeah, I don't know that is a good idea when you're up in the sky
Okay, that's fair. That is dangerous.
in charge of
Yeah.
an airplane.
You're not allowed.
Casey grounds me when I need to get stuff done. So like I had to take a written exam for this,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically grounded me from flying until I took the exam.
Mm.
So I had like this online course I was just trying to get through for
External
studying.
accountability.
Oh my god.
Because the flying's the fun part.
Yeah. I think a little bit for stress because right now I'm getting stressed out pretty easily, which sucks also. Part of learning, I guess. We go to the gym a lot. So both he and I do CrossFit, and I try to go at least 3 times a week. So that helps too.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep is good. I'm not doing it a lot, but yesterday I slept a lot.
Do you have any tips for other people who want to become a pilot or become a stewardess on a yacht or do the things you're
Yes.
doing?
Really love handing down my knowledge and being a mentor for somebody. So God, I have so many tips and tricks.
Oh, Erin's making a template, a like handbook for like a customizable handbook template for yacht stewardesses. So you can put like all the details of your yacht and the people you work for so that you don't have to remember them off the top of your head, and you can hand them down to other people when you leave and create systems to make your life easier, checklists and things like that. So if you know anyone who's in yachting or you are in yachting, definitely send them Erin's way because she's working on getting that out for people. It's something that she created after years on yachts that was very helpful for her and the people who she left them with.
Yeah, apparently. So I left a boat in 2020 and they've been through multiple stewardesses. And they still use my book.
It's pretty cool.
My handover book. Tips and tricks. There's so many. I guess for both, like if you want to do it, you just need to do it. Like I know one of these days my bank account is going to read 0 because of costs for flying, but then like I'll get a job and it'll all be coming back. But just do it and then network. Like this is hard for me to pass on because like I don't really follow it, but at the beginning, even if you don't like somebody, but you know that they can provide you with a great network, don't burn the bridge, I guess.
Erin's burned a lot of bridges just out of frustration.
I don't know if I would say a lot, but I can tell you there's things I won't go back to.
Erin doesn't put up with bullshit is what it really boils down to. It's not necessarily that you burned a lot of bridges, you just don't put up with people treating you poorly. And I think that that's fine, but I'm sure there are times when you can benefit from sucking up to people who don't necessarily treat you the best.
Yeah.
But
and then like further in, well, that wouldn't be really for anybody getting into it, but like further in, just know that you're worth not $150 a day.
Yeah. Raising your rates and like catching up mentally to your worth can be mentally challenging.
Yeah, even if you have to like turn people down because you're, I guess, not in their budget, it's okay because the right clients will come along. Like that's how I have my tiny network of yacht people. Like,
you wouldn't have it if you weren't turning people down.
Yeah. What was the other one? I just was thinking of it. Oh, I guess I don't know so much for aviation. Well, maybe even so, it might still work, but be good at more than one thing. Like for yachting, like, yeah, okay, I'm really good at detailing, but I'm also really good at keeping inventory, and I'm really good at service, and I'm really good at setting a table, and I'm really good at throwing a party, because all of those traits can actually be passed over to other jobs or other things, or that might be why somebody else wants you over a different candidate. The other thing with like stewardesses, I guess, like some are massage therapists, or they have like a certification to teach some kind of exercise class or something like that. Just makes you a little more desirable for people. And then for the job that I'll be applying to, they do a lot of charter flights where like a family will charter the plane to fly them to their yacht. So, and I don't know yet because I haven't done enough research, so maybe I could be just talking out of my butt here, but because I have the yachting experience, and then I'll have like my passion for flying, and then some of my experience to go with that. I feel like the yachting bit and the working for private families will help me stand out a little more against other people. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be just assuming and hopeful thinking here, but
I think that's applicable to like that. All of that advice is applicable to any career where you are sort of paving your own path. Like networking is important. Having multiple skills that are transferable is important. Knowing your worth, being willing to raise your rates and say no to clients once you get further in, but also being willing to do a little bit of low paying work to get experience. Like these are all things that I talk to freelancers about too. So freelance writers, freelance digital entrepreneurs. So
plus like with yachting, I feel like you could be open-minded. Like I don't cook, but pay me the right amount, I'll happily try.
Put a couple things in the oven for you. You betcha.
I guess.
Yeah. Nice. Well, where can people find you on the internet?
On the interwebs, you can find me at Erin Kayla on Instagram.
Thanks for tuning in today. This podcast was created by me, Rachel Meltzer. Our music is by John Worthy. You can find more information about the resources discussed in this podcast in the show notes or on our blog at meltzerseltzer.com/the-guidebook-podcast. Also, while you're here, did you know that I offer coaching and community for freelancers? I offer free community events and free resources, as well as paid options like Pop Club, our community for freelancers, and one-on-one coaching, whether you're starting your business or you just need to revamp some things and get out of that feast-famine cycle or take your business to the next level and double your income. I'm your gal. Come talk to me. You can find all of these resources at meltzerseltzer.com. Our free resources are at meltzerseltzer.com/free, and our paid resources are at meltzerseltzer.com/coaching, but you can find everything there from the homepage if you want to. If you have a second, please rate or subscribe, like or comment on this show. On Apple Podcasts, you can rate and leave a review. On Spotify, you can just rate the show. On YouTube, you can comment and like this episode, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to watch these on YouTube in the future. Thank you so much again for tuning in to our little show. Every interaction that you make with our show helps new listeners find us, so I would love it if you would just take a second to interact with us. It means the world to me. All right, I hope to see you in the next episode of The Guidebook.